This came up because a lot of people have been floating around um, a, a video here from Kamala Harris where she is promoting um, reparations. Let me see here. Let me get this pulled up. She is saying that she is going to, when she is elected as president, she is going to sign a bill um, requiring that taxpayers pay for reparations. So let's watch it together and then let's talk about it. And by the way, let me make sure that you can hear that because sometimes the audio is turned off. I am turning it on now. So you should be able to see and hear it now.
But in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved, if you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill.
Watch that again.
But in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved, if you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that
All right. So first things first, honestly, I think she's just telling them what they want to hear. I don't think that she means this. Don't believe it at all. I mean, aside from the fact that it's unlikely a bill would ever get to her desk, it's got to go through a whole bunch of other people first before it would ever get there. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But number two, I think that she's not serious about that. She's just telling people what they want to hear. And I think this is one of those examples. Now, perhaps I'm reading too much into it, but I don't think so. I think she's just telling people what they want to hear. But I have a couple questions here. I got some concerns with how this is just going to work practically. Okay. So when it comes to reparations, how far does this go? How far back should we consider? Should all injustices be repaired? How far back are we going to go? Because you go back far enough and pretty much everybody is owed reparations, right? So how far back? That's number one. Number two, what about, I guess people who had nothing to do with slavery? Why should they have to pay for people who did have something to do with slavery? Right? Let's think about this for a second. Who would pay for these reparations? Where does that money come from? Do you think it comes from Kamala's bank account? It's not going to come from her family, right? Even though I've been told that her family actually owned a large amount of slaves. So, but it's not going to come out from her own bank account. She's not paying for this. So who is paying for it? If this were to happen? Taxpayers, right? Taxpayers. I had somebody when I posted this earlier in the on Twitter, somebody was like, and she nowhere here said that taxpayers are going to pay for it. Who do you think would fund this? Again, it's not coming out of her own bank account. It would be taxpayers who would be funding this. Okay, so pretty much everyone alive today, those taxpayers, had nothing to do with slavery. Why is there a moral obligation on part of people who had nothing to do with slavery to pay reparations for people who did? Now, if you had one of those slave owners alive today, I could see an argument for them paying. I understand that. But again, the people who are alive today had nothing to do with this. Why should they have to pay anything? There's no moral obligation on them to have to do this. So why would those citizens have to do this? Also have another question. Just in point of fact, some African Americans in the United States today do not descend from slavery. They do not descend from any African American slaves. So would they be receiving a check? Or are we just talking about the ones who do? So at that point, you basically have to prove that you descend from a slave at that point. So are we going to require people to show their genealogy or something? I got another one for you. What about those people who do descend from slaves, but not from slavery in the United States? My wife is a perfect example of this. She descends from slaves, but not from slaves in the United States, but slaves in Costa Rica who worked on a railroad in Costa Rica. So she's in the United States. I don't think she would be receiving a check, right? Wouldn't she need to receive a check from like the Costa Rican government? Why would American taxpayers have to pay for that situation, right? For something that took place in a different country. So I guess she would get excluded. Whereas I suppose the people who would be receiving the checks would be ones who descend from slavery in the United States, right? So again, what you're going to have to do is then show your genealogy. And then why is it people who had nothing to do with slavery who have to pay for that? This makes no sense. In other words, the reason why there hasn't been reparations, the reason why you haven't seen that is because people have actually thought through this practically. You know, I'm not the first one to do that, right? There's a lot of people who have thought through this practically, and they thought, yeah, no, that's not going to work for pretty much all the reasons why I just explained to you. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that you will find some politicians like Kamala who are more than happy to say, yeah, I'm all in favor of reparations, until it actually comes time to do them and, actually, do something about it. And that's when you're going to see them do nothing. So I think she was just telling people what they wanted to hear and not considering the fact that this practically just wouldn't work. Hey, thanks for watching that highlight clip. If you want to watch the full video, click on the link in the show notes. By the way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you want to support this channel, a great way to do it is patreon.com/Reason and Theology. You'll also get access to extra patron-only content. Check it out now, patreon.com/Reason and Theology. God bless.